Love arrives. It feels real. And then you ruin it. Not because you don't care, not because you don't want it, but because you fear it. The moment someone truly sees you, the mask cracks, the shadow comes alive. Jung warned us, what you repress returns in your most intimate moments. Heidegger showed us, authenticity is unbearable because it strips away the roles, the defenses, the comfortable lies. So when love feels real, you sabotage it, you run, you break what you crave the most. This is not weakness. It is the hidden logic of your wounds. In this video, we expose the shadow that ruins your love and how to face it before you destroy what could have saved you.
Love is never only about the other person. It is about the mirror they hold up to you. When someone gets close enough, they don't just see the image you've built, they see the cracks, the contradictions, the wounds you hide, even from yourself. Carl Jung called this hidden territory the shadow. It is the part of you that doesn't fit into your carefully designed self-image. The jealousy you deny, the anger you suppress, the neediness you laugh at in others but secretly feel yourself. Most of the time, you can keep this shadow buried. You present the version of you that is strong, confident, desirable, in control. And in casual relationships, that mask is enough. The other person only touches the surface. They dance with your performance, not your truth. But when love feels real, when someone looks at you with the kind of attention that doesn't stop at the mask, the shadow starts to stir. Because love, real love, is intimacy, and intimacy is dangerous. It is the invitation to be seen, not only in your light, but also in your darkness. You want to be loved, but not fully known. You want acceptance, but only for the parts of you that are easy to accept. So what happens when the person in front of you doesn't settle for the mask? When they notice the insecurity beneath the smile? When they feel the fear under your confidence? When they love the part of you you've spent years rejecting? That is when the shadow rises in panic. Because if they see it, they might reject you. If they know it, they might leave. And worse, if they accept it, you will have no excuse to keep hiding. This is why so many people sabotage love at the very moment it becomes real. It's not because they don't value it. It's because the price of being loved is being exposed, and exposure is unbearable to the shadow. So you start pulling away. You test the other person. You pick fights. You look for flaws. You convince yourself they are not the one. Or you create chaos just to prove to yourself that love can't last. In truth, none of this is about them. It is about you. It is about the war between the image you protect and the shadow you repress. Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." Nowhere is this more true than in love. Because when intimacy awakens the shadow, you don't recognize it as your own reflection. You think it is the other person's fault. You think they changed. You think something feels off. But the truth is simpler and more brutal. You are not running from them. You are running from yourself. Love is not only a feeling. It is an event, a rupture in the ordinary flow of existence. Martin Heidegger, the German philosopher, spoke about the difference between living authentically and living in what he called inauthenticity. Most of us most of the time, choose the second. Inauthenticity is easy. It means living as they live, repeating the roles, the scripts, the patterns already given to us. It means hiding in the safety of distraction, work, social games, small talk, anything that keeps us from confronting the terrifying truth of being. But love, when it is real, shatters this disguise. Because in the presence of the other, you were called to exist differently, not as a role, not as a mask, but as yourself, unrepeatable, fragile, exposed. This is why authentic love is heavy. It demands a courage most people don't have. To be truly with another person is to risk being seen without defense. It is to let another person's gaze pull you out of the comfort of the crowd and into the unbearable brightness of authenticity. And authenticity, as Heidegger knew, is not comfortable. It is not soft or easy. It is a confrontation with the fact that your existence is finite, ungrounded, fragile. It is the awareness that your time is limited, your choices matter, and your life cannot be outsourced to them. In this space, love is not just romance. It is exposure. It is the silence where you cannot hide behind cliches. It is the moment where your partner asks a simple question and you realize you cannot answer with the mask. You must answer with yourself. For many, this is unbearable. So, instead of stepping into authenticity, they retreat. They choose the safety of distance, of roles, of half-truths. They trade the weight of being seen for the comfort of being hidden. This is why people ruin love when it feels real. Not because love itself is destructive, but because it drags you into a mode of existence you don't know how to endure. Heidegger called this the burden of authenticity. To answer it is to live in truth, but truth is heavy. It strips away illusions, it destroys the fictions that kept you safe, and it confronts you with the one reality you cannot escape, that you are finite, that you will die. To love authentically is to look another human being in the eye, knowing that both of you are temporary, fragile, and exposed, and to say yes anyway. But instead of saying yes, most people sabotage. They run back into distraction. They cling to shallow roles, empty rituals, half-love. Because half-love feels safer than whole exposure. Heidegger would say, this is the tragedy of inauthentic existence. You ruin what is real because the truth of being is too much to bear. And so you trade depth for safety, authenticity for roles, love for performance. But make no mistake, the weight does not disappear. It only turns into regret.
You meet someone. At first, it feels effortless, light, exciting. The mask works in the beginning. You show the version of yourself you want them to love, and for a while, it's enough. But as intimacy deepens, the danger grows. The closer they get, the more your shadow starts to move. The more their gaze feels like an X-ray, noticing not only what you present, but what you hide. Jung explains this as the unconscious breaking through the surface. The rejected parts of you, jealousy, fear, control, dependency, suddenly find a way to act out. Heidegger explains it as the collapse of inauthenticity. You can no longer hide in the they. You're forced into the nakedness of being yourself, and that is unbearable. So the sabotage begins. You pick small fights. You test their patience. You retreat into silence. You seek flaws where there were none. You convince yourself that something is wrong, that it's not real, that you were deceived. But this isn't random. It follows a rhythm, almost like a secret script your unconscious keeps repeating. First comes closeness, then discomfort, then sabotage, and finally the collapse. Jung would say the shadow is demanding to be seen. It doesn't care if it ruins your relationships as long as it breaks through your denial. And Heidegger would add, the moment you are pulled toward authenticity, your entire being resists. Because authenticity means losing the comfort of disguise. It is not just emotional risk, it is existential risk. This is why people destroy the very thing they crave, because the price of love is truth, and most people are still committed to the lie. So the pattern repeats. Different faces, same ending. Different story, same fear. And each time you think, this is just who I am, this is just my fate. But the truth is brutal. You are not cursed. You are caught in a cycle that you repeat until you learn to face what you fear. After the storm, regret sets in. You tell yourself it was fate, that it was never meant to last. But the truth is crueler. It was not fate. It was fear. This is the cycle. Shadow rises. Authenticity threatens. Sabotage begins. Love collapses. Regret remains. And then you repeat it. Different partner, same wound. Different story, same ending. Because you are not running from them. You are not even running from love. You are running from the confrontation with yourself, with your shadow, with your authenticity, with your own existence. This is why love feels like both a dream and a nightmare. It promises wholeness, but it exposes fracture. It offers union, but it demands exposure. And every time the possibility of truth appears, you ruin it, because you cannot yet hold the weight of being seen.
Every cycle has a crack, and through that crack, transformation can begin. The truth is brutal, but simple. You will keep destroying love until you face yourself. No book, no advice, no technique can bypass this confrontation. Because the problem is not love. The problem is the part of you that cannot yet survive being loved. Jung said that what you resist persists. The shadow does not disappear because you reject it. It waits, it grows, and it finds ways to sabotage your life until you finally look at it. So what does breaking the pattern mean? It means entering the very space you have always fled, the space of vulnerability. Vulnerability is not weakness, it is exposure. It is standing without your mask, without your script, knowing you could be rejected and choosing to stay anyway. This is the paradox. The thing you fear is the only thing that can free you. Because when you stop hiding your wounds, the shadow loses its power to sabotage. It becomes visible. It becomes human. It becomes part of you. And here, Heidegger joins the conversation again. He reminds us that authenticity is never comfortable. It is heavy because it strips away illusions.
It forces you to stand in your own existence without the safety of they. But this is exactly why it opens the possibility of love. To remain in a relationship only as a mask is not love. It is performance. To love authentically is to accept the risk of being seen, the risk of being wounded, the risk of losing. And yet, paradoxically, this risk is what creates true connection. Because when you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you give the other person something real to hold. Not an image, not a role, but you. Does this mean every love will last? No. Authenticity does not guarantee permanence, but it guarantees truth. And truth, even when painful, is the only ground love can stand on. Think about it. How many times have you lost someone while still wearing the mask? How many times have you destroyed what you longed for because you refused to be seen? Isn't it better to lose while being true than to lose while pretending? Breaking the pattern means stepping into that risk consciously. It means saying, yes, I could be rejected. Yes, I could be abandoned. Yes, I could be hurt. But I will not destroy love before it has the chance to become real. This is not easy. It feels like walking into fire, but the fire is the only place where the mask burns away. And only without the mask can you love and be loved as you are. Love will always wound you, but in that wound lies freedom. The freedom of no longer living in fear of your shadow. The freedom of no longer hiding in inauthenticity. The freedom of finally facing the truth of yourself and letting someone else face it with you.
We must be careful here. This is not about quick fixes. This is not about healing your relationship or finding the perfect partner. Because beneath every wound in love, there is something far deeper, the wound of being itself. Jung once wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." When you ruin love again and again, it looks like fate. It looks like you are cursed in relationships. But what is really happening is that your unlived self, the shadow you fear, has taken control of the stage. The one you exile becomes the one who loves for you, hates for you, and destroys for you. That is why love for you collapses where it should grow. But Jung's psychology only opens the first door. Heidegger takes us deeper. He reminds us that the human being, Dasein, is always being toward death. We exist in the shadow of impermanence. Every intimacy, every closeness is haunted by the silent fact, this will end. And so, without knowing it, you sabotage love, not because you don't want it, but because you fear its collapse more than its absence. You believe that if you destroy it first, you won't have to face the unbearable truth of losing it later. But you still lose, and worse, you lose without having truly loved. Heidegger warned us about this temptation, to flee into distraction, into the they, the collective chatter of what people say, the superficiality of comfort. There, love becomes just another performance, to look stable, to look desirable, to look like the picture of happiness. But authentic love cannot survive in the they. It demands your nakedness, your exposure, your willingness to stand in the terrifying clearing of truth. And Jung saw the same thing from another angle. For him, love is not a fairy tale. It is not about completion. It is a collision between two unconscious worlds. He wrote, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." Love is not there to soothe you. It is there to break you open, to show you where you are false, to reveal the parts of you you hoped no one would ever see. So, when you ask, why do I ruin every love that seems real? The answer is brutal, because real love exposes what you have not yet dared to face, and you would rather ruin it than confront yourself. But here is the paradox. You can't keep doing this forever. Something inside you knows. Every time you destroy love, the silence after is heavier. The nights are longer, the excuses thinner. Because what you are running from is not love, it is yourself. And the more you run, the more you carry the weight you tried to escape. Jung believed individuation begins precisely at this breaking point, when you realize that what you destroy in others is what you refuse to meet in yourself. The fear of being seen, the terror of being known, the unbearable light of authenticity. And Heidegger would say that is the call of being, the silent demand that you stop fleeing into shadows, that you stand trembling before the finite truth of your existence and still say yes. So no, there is no cure for ruining love, no trick to make you secure. What there is a responsibility. To hold yourself in the fire of vulnerability, to risk the pain you cannot predict, to stop turning every relationship into a mirror that shatters the moment it reflects your hidden face. Listen to Jung again. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. And hear Heidegger echo, only by being authentically toward death can we truly be toward life. Love is the space where these truths collide. It is both the most dangerous and the most necessary confrontation. You will ruin it until you stop trying to escape it. You will destroy it until you learn to stand naked in its unbearable clarity. And maybe then, love will no longer be about possession, or security, or illusions of safety. It will be about two beings, both finite, both wounded, both exposed, standing together in the fragile truth that they could lose everything, and still choosing to remain. That is not a solution. That is not a promise. It is something heavier and more sacred. Because love, real love, is not what saves you. It is what demands that you face what you are too afraid to see. And if you can endure that, then maybe for the first time, you will not ruin it.
If this moved something inside you, stay. We're building something for those who don't fake it. Subscribe, not just for the content, but for the confrontation. And if this left a wound, maybe it was meant to. Sometimes, the best way to go deeper is to share the pain. Share it. Someone out there is still confusing sabotage with strength, still breaking love before it breaks them, still believing distance is safer than being seen. This won't save them, but it might make them stop pretending that the ruins were accidents. It might show them that every collapse was a mirror, and every escape a confession. Let this reach the ones who don't yet know. Love doesn't fall apart because it is false. It falls apart when we are too afraid to let it be true.